Welcome back to my channel. In follow-up to previous lesson, if you haven't seen that video yet, go watch it now. I want to follow up with an actual assessment of what you need to earn to have the lifestyle that you want to lead. And to help us with this task, we are going to take advantage of this wonderful website. It is the California Career Zone. And we're going to go into this window right here and type in cacareerzone.org/budget and press enter. Once we do that, we are brought to this page that says make money choices. And we have two options here. One is budget how much money you'll need. And the second is budget from a starting salary. And since our goal is to assess what we need to earn in the career of our choice, to have the lifestyle that we want to have, we are going to go with option number one. So once we click on that, we're going to get to a section where we can enter our zip code or the zip code of the location where we want to live, and it's easily found. You can go on Google, type in the city or state, and figure that out. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to go with Los Angeles today. I've chosen Los Angeles because that's where I live, and we are going to follow along. So now we get to housing costs. Housing costs, how much should that be? And based on the type of housing that you want to reside in, we will determine how much money you'll need monthly. Now, option number one is live with parents, family, or friends. Let me tell you guys, you're probably not going to want to take advantage of this option, because we are planning long-term, and long-term you want to reside on your own. You don't want a roommate, probably. You may want to live with a spouse or a significant other or a dog or a cat, and you want to be able to make those decisions on your own, and that requires your own housing. So we're not going to go with the option of live with parents, family, or friends. The last option is also not really going to work for us. It's own a place that is already paid for. Now, I don't know if one of you is very fortunate to inherit that. The majority of us will not, and we do not want to expect that that is going to happen. So our decision will be based on rent an apartment or buy a place of your own. And because we're, again, planning for the future, click buy a place of your own. Once you do that, it says the cost of owning a home will include your mortgage, insurance, and taxes. And it gives you an amount in the window of $2,357. Now, that is a bit low, I will say, because the Los Angeles real estate market right now is super hot. And because of that, the renting market is super hot. And there's really not so much available for rent or purchase. And the minute something comes on the market, it goes to a cash offer. It's just crazy. But because of that, we want to really do our research. I will leave this number alone and I'm not going to change it because I find that we want to really understand the app, and that's most important. We can always go back and find out how much things really cost and bring them here and enter them. Now, before I go any further, I want to tell you all that I am very grateful for your support, and I really hope to continue to receive it. And if you have not yet subscribed or clicked like on this magical video, please do so now. Click subscribe under the video. Click thumbs up. Can I speak? And please support me. I really appreciate it. And now, with that said, we'll continue on. We've determined our housing cost, and we're going to click next section. We then get to utilities. And utilities is one of those things you really want to pay attention to, because I find people will often say things like, oh, it's like an extra $100 a month. Truth is, it isn't. It is really not cheap. So let's review each individual necessity. So mobile phone service, do we need it? Yes, we do. Is it going to cost us $40 a month? Not in my personal experience, but some prepaid services do offer that cost. And again, you can do your research on that. Gas, electric, water, and trash pickup. That is definitely necessary. And again, this number may be a bit low on our cost to the right in this area right here, because it doesn't take into consideration that you may have multiple family members who use water, or that you may be watering your grass, or that you have a pool. So all of those things need to be considered. So again, I'm not touching that number for that reason. Home telephone service. I got rid of mine because I don't really need it. My cell phone is more than enough. The one thing that really annoys me is when I have a cell phone and a home phone ringing, so I definitely don't want the two. So I've gotten rid of that. And of course, the monthly payment. Then we get cable television. I do not get cable television because I find it to be expensive and because I do not watch TV that much. There are so many wonderful other things available that I could do. I do, however, subscribe to Hulu and Netflix, and I find that for the $20 a month I pay for both, I'm quite satisfied anytime I want to watch something. And for that reason, I do not splurge on it, but I find that some like to have the option, so I will select it here. And of course, internet, which is much needed. I could use my cell phone. However, my husband and I currently work from home and want to be able to log into meetings and not be frozen. And because we're on Zoom so much, we really do have to get the best internet that we've been able to find. So I've added that. It's been added to our monthly cost. And now we're going to move on to the next section. Food. Please do not become hungry right now. Let's get the budget done first. Now, food is one of those things that depends on the individual. And you really need to figure out what your food costs are. And what I found to be the best way to do that is to plan your menu for the week. Now, many people have not done this, but if you have ever followed a plan to get in shape, you will find out that you're likely eating 4 ounces of protein at lunch, 6 ounces of protein at dinner. And so that is how I count up how much chicken or fish or beef I'll need. And then I add in vegetables and, oatmeal for breakfast, some bananas and blueberries and almonds. And that's really what I eat. So I will go into the store with a list, but really I don't even need one because it's become like second nature to me. And so I will just purchase those things. And when my husband and I do that, of course, I take whatever my plan is and multiply it by 2. We've seen that we not only do our waistlines shrink, our bank account grows because we spend so much less money. Now, with that in mind, I've also had times when I was working 2 to 3 jobs and I was eating from Carl's Jr. and Jack in a Box. And if that's what you got to do right now, that's what you got to do. But again, I found that taking 2 hours a week to prepare my food for the week was really beneficial in many ways. If you have questions about that, comment below, but for now, we'll continue on with the budget. So I mostly eat at home and only keep the essentials in my house. I don't know about you, but I do not. I do eat at home, I do cook my food, but they're not just essentials because, again, like blueberries are not a necessity. I could have, just eaten rice or something, right? Which is cheaper. But you do want to have some room for creativity because you, again, are looking at long-term plans. You don't just want to limit yourself to rice and beans, as Dave Ramsey would say, in your really saving and paying off debt kind of atmosphere. Second, I mostly eat at home and like to cook fancy foods. I don't know what fancy foods are, but I'm guessing it's the opposite of rice and beans. Third, I mostly eat out, but normally nothing fancy. That would be to me Carl's Jr. or Jack in a Box or McDonald's. And I mostly eat out in like nice restaurants. I mean, if that's you, then in today's market, I can imagine you'd be spending thousands of dollars a month. So we're not going to look at that as an option, nor are we going to look at essentials in my home. So I will say for me, I will do mostly eat at home and like to cook fancy foods. But when I click that, you will see that it's $250 a month. And honestly, I think it's more even when I plan and just buy, the things that I eat that are the necessities for my meal plan, right? Even though I include my fantastic blueberries in that. So again, $250, my husband and I, there's 2 of us, we should budget for more. But again, since I would be preparing for myself only as far as this budget goes, I would say he'd have to create his own, then I will leave this alone. Now we're going to the next section, entertainment. And this is one where we really have to think about what our needs and goals are. So I don't go out often. I usually watch TV or read a book. I mean, that's wonderful, but is that what you want long term? Second option, I go out once a week for a movie or a show. Maybe. I go out more than I stay in. I like clubs and seeing shows. You're probably not going to do all that, but again, it's an option, and I'm out all the time. That's likely not going to happen. So I find option 1 and option 4 to be extremes, and we do not want to follow them because you're likely not going to be out all the time. This is a long-term plan. You're going to have a job and responsibilities. And so I will say, let me choose this option. And it says monthly cost of $100. Let me tell you, unless I just go to the movies, maybe twice a month, I'll be okay. But you likely get popcorn and soda and a hot dog or whatever it is now, like, lobster tacos. But it's going to cost more than that. But again, we're going to leave it alone and move on. Next section is clothing. So this is one of those things that you really need to take into consideration what your goals are. Some people are really minimalistic and they, rarely buy anything unless it needs to be replaced. Some like to go on Instagram and be motivated by one of the personalities they follow, and they will buy something that they see. So you really should consider your goal long term, not just when you're in school or before you get into college. I don't buy new clothes ever. That's not a solution. We all need to wear them. I buy a new outfit every few months. That's also for me unrealistic because it's not that I'm constantly at the mall or even shopping online, but some things need to be replaced. Like, I love white t-shirts. They constantly need to be replaced. They get older, they get dingy looking, they yellow. Socks, underwear, like some things need to be replaced, pajamas. So there's things that aren't just adding to your closet, so to speak, but they're replacing things. So you definitely want to be able to do more. Buy a new outfit every few months. That's really not me. I need to buy work clothes, but don't really shop otherwise. That's also not me. I prefer to have a closet of items that I can wear to work or out. And that's maybe because I've developed an individual style that works for me. But again, whatever works for you. And I shop every week or two. I would choose that, but then I'm seeing that the cost is $650 a month, and I'm thinking we need to work our way down. So I would say let's choose $200. In today's day and age, things are, pricey, and so we really do want to leave the $200 there. And even if you don't spend it, that's the thing. You can put that aside and save it in your budget for clothing, so when things do need to be replaced, you will have money available. Next section is my favorite, transportation. Remember what I said last time? Transportation is something I don't have an option on. So even if I want to bike or walk or take the bus, I can't because I'll be on the road for most of the day because I live far from my job. And if that's not your goal to drive so much, probably want to consider where you buy a home versus where you're going to work. Now, option 1 is I don't own a car, I walk or bike, commute. Not an option, an extreme. I don't own a car, I take public transportation. Again, if that's what you can do, fantastic, but I feel that I need a car in LA. I own a car but have no loan. That is me. I purchased a pre-owned car. It was 2 years old and I paid it off. So I do not have a loan on the car. But you may have one because you're going to be getting out of college and likely buying your first car. I thankfully was able to save and purchase a pre-owned vehicle, which I found to be beneficial for my goals. And I do not have a payment on it. So that's me. But again, you see it adds $220 because there are still monthly expenses like gas, insurance, and occasional trips to the mechanic. I would even say it's more because I drive far, but I'll leave it alone because not everybody is crazy as me. Another option is I own a used compact car. I own a used luxury car. I own a new compact car, and I own a new luxury car. Whatever option better fits you, choose that, and then we'll move on to the next section. Health insurance. So I'm very lucky to where I work for an employer who provides me with insurance coverage for myself and my husband. And so our only monthly costs are co-payments to the doctor for any kind of medication. And if we choose to do things that are outside of our network, maybe a chiropractor visit or a therapist or something like that, then we do pay for those costs. But our option is I will not have health coverage. No longer an option, guys. It's now required. I'm under 26 and will be on my parents' plan. We're planning for the future. Parents are not going to pay for our insurance or cover it with their employer. I'll be on a group plan and just pay part of the cost. That's me. And I'll pay for insurance myself. That's also an option. So we will all hope to have an employer who provides insurance. Again, we're planning for the future. Something to consider when you're questioning whether an employer is a good fit for you. Next section, education costs. Remember we talked about this in my previous video? Don't go to a school that's going to cost an arm and a leg. Don't get yourself into debt that you cannot repay. Education costs add up. So I was working a full-time job and going to school full-time, and don't know how I did it when I, look at that time now, but thankfully I did not incur debt from my school, and I did not have any loans. I paid as I went, and that's definitely an option. Even if you obtain, part-time employment, I recommend that over taking out loans for sure. So I do not plan on having any student loan debt, whether you plan to go and receive financial aid or whether you have parents that will pay for it. That's great if that's an option for you. I plan to attend a state school and receive some financial aid. I attended a state school and received no financial aid, so I would say this is me. But I made my payments while I was in school, so thankfully did not have to acquire that debt. I plan to attend private school and receive some financial aid, or I plan to attend private school and receive no financial aid. Be careful, guys, with private schools. As you can see, this is added to your monthly spending. So I will leave this alone and we'll go on to the next section. Savings. God, you have to plan for this, okay? So I'm not interested in saving right now. We're not talking about right now. We're talking about the future. So that's not a solution. We're moving on. I'd like to save 5%. 5% is not anything that will ever amount to anything. So we're not going to take that option either. I want to jump over to 25 and 50% because I think those are a little extensive. Now, if you do graduate from college and you're living at home and not paying rent and you are receiving an income from an employer, I would say save as much as you can. But a realistic option for a person who is working and supporting a family or themselves, whatever the arrangement may be, is 10%. So we're going to save that here and go on to the next section. We have reached the summary. And you may think we're done, but let me tell you, we're not. Let's look at this. So it says, based on your responses, you will need to have a job where you take home $45.54 a month, or at least $54,648 a year when you include taxes. So it's not include taxes. I'm not sure why they say it that way, because taxes would be added on top. And if you remember that I said it's a 30% part of your income that is going to be taken from you, you've got to be making close to $80,000-$85,000. So really consider that. Now it gives you your whole budget here, and once you've created that, I would print it or write it out, because I think it's extremely important to have a plan in mind. And as things change and you revise it, you find out that housing is more expensive or that you're going to inherit a car, you will update this. But I do recommend keeping it handy. So you see this here, and now we scroll to the bottom and we see the magic aha moment. View occupations. Let's go. So we click on this, and then we're looking at these options. Now, job zone is between 1 and 5. That is referring to educational requirements. Salary is between these amounts. I would love to make 160, but let's give ourselves some options here. In California industry factor, I don't really care. So let's just filter and get our response, and we will be able to look at it. So then you have accountants, actuaries, acute care nurses, adapted physical education specialists. I would say review all of these. And one of the things you want to consider is, what interests you, of course. Also, if it's within an earning potential category that you can live on the way that you want to, I would say yes, look at things that you are interested and passionate about. But I do not think that passion should lead you in your career, because oftentimes, when a passion becomes a job, it is no longer a hobby or as passionate, because you're going to grow tired of it as well. It's going to have difficult moments. And how can an artist kill their desire to be an artist? by asking to be paid for it full time. So while it's wonderful to be passionate about something, I find in my experience that I can be passionate about any field if I am successful in it. If I feel that I am knowledgeable and I can do my job well, that gives me energy and joy, and I am passionate about what I do. Now, if you absolutely hate a field, let's not choose that as an option, because we don't need that headache. You don't want to be miserable. You just want to earn enough to support yourself. So let's say we want accountants. And here we go. You get average salary. Like, first of all, that's a good start. Job zone 4. So let's move on. Let's read more about it. About the job, what they do. Because oftentimes we think, oh, teachers, what a great job. Like I told you guys in our previous video. But reality is different from what you see on TV. So we really want to understand, what does an accountant do? They don't just do taxes. They do other things. So let's really read about them. Now, interests and work values, you can read about those. Things they need to know are listed, and things they need to be able to do are listed. Similar occupations are listed, because once you're an accountant, you can also go into these fields. And then you can also look at industries employing. You can see what industries are employing accountants, and majority of them, as you can see, work in other. But then after that, it's accounting, tax preparation, bookkeeping, and payroll services. So you can at least see industries. And as well, you are able to see your opportunities. How can we do that? You can see education and training. You can click on one of these and see what exactly requires. So say accounting, we want a degree. Completions 2,800. Institutions offering 92. Annual job openings 19,610. So that's a really good number in my book. You get similar majors, and you can also find colleges. We can click find college, and if we want it in California, we don't even need to do anything else. We can just scroll down and we can see the names of the colleges, the city, the state, the size, and the setting. We can go through these, we can click on them, and we can see what they offer. For example, I went to Cal State Northridge. I will click on that, and I can see that the annual tuition is $6,875. I can see annual room and board is $10,803, unless you're living at home. Acceptance rate and student body size. If this is the kind of school that I would be interested in going to, I can scroll down, see the map of where it's located, get the address, the website, the phone number, and anything else that I want to know. And I can just scroll down and see even more about the school and the programs it has. So this website allows you to identify how much you need to earn to lead the lifestyle that you desire, to determine what jobs bring in that income, to determine how long you're going to have to study to qualify for such a job, which schools have the program, how much these schools pay, what kind of student population it has, where it's located, the phone number, the website, anything you need to know. And if you follow this website, you will be able to create a real plan. You will be able to look at your notes and say, I'm going to study this long, I'm going to spend this much, I'll be able to work through school or not, and at the end of the day, I will have the lifestyle that I want to lead. So I highly recommend going through this website and determining what your goals are and where you want to end up to meet those goals. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. I hope this was helpful. This is something I recommend to all individuals that I work with, even to friends and family when they're down and they think, oh, I don't know if I, want to continue doing my job. But I find that this really answers a lot of questions, and sometimes it just reassures them that they're in the right place. And sometimes it tells them, no, go back to school, take a class. Let's see how you do. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I like them so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.